I'm hoping to make sure that superintelligence we are creating right now does not kill everyone. So we are creating this alien intelligence. If aliens were coming to Earth and you had 3 years to prepare, you would be panicking right now. But most people don't even realize this is happening.
So you just heard from Dr. Roman Yampolski. And that one analogy, the one about receiving a message from an alien intelligence, is probably the single most important idea you need to grasp right now. Because this isn't a metaphor, it's a warning. It's a warning that we are on the verge of creating a mind so fundamentally different from our own, so vast and so fast that trying to predict its motives is a fool's errand. He's telling us that the arrival date for this thing, isn't some far-off sci-fi future. The timeline is collapsing. It's happening now. Today, we're going to break down that warning. We're going to connect the dots between what top safety experts are screaming from the rooftops and what's actually happening in Silicon Valley. Okay, so how did we even get here? How did alien intelligence go from a thought experiment to something a leading scientist is putting a 3-year clock on? For a long time, AI progress was a slog, slow, incremental. But about a decade ago, something clicked. We stumbled upon a recipe, a deceptively simple recipe for making machines smarter. And it's this simplicity that has lit the fuse on an arms race we can't seem to control. Yampolski boils it down to something that sounds almost mundane. He says if you just add more data and more compute, it just kind of becomes smarter.
Sure. So in the last decade, we actually figured out how to make artificial intelligence better. Turns out if you add more compute, more data, it just kind of becomes smarter. And so now, smartest people in the world, billions of dollars, all going to create the best possible superintelligence we can. Unfortunately, while we know how to make those systems much more capable, we don't know how to make them safe, how to make sure they don't do something we will regret. And that's the state of the art right now. When we look at just prediction markets, how soon will we get to advanced AI? The timelines are very short, a couple of years, 2-3 years, according to prediction markets, according to CEOs of top labs. And at the same time, we don't know how to make sure that those systems are aligned with our preferences. So we are creating this alien intelligence. If aliens were coming to Earth and you had 3 years to prepare, you would be panicking right now. But most people don't even realize this is happening.
Let that phrase sink in. It just kind of becomes smarter. That is the most terrifyingly casual explanation for the most disruptive technology in human history. This isn't just his take. This is a documented phenomenon. In the industry, they called them the scaling laws. And what they discovered was pure alchemy. You take a large language model, you throw more data at it, and you hook it up to more powerful compute chips, and it doesn't just get better at writing emails. New abilities just kind of emerge out of nowhere. Things it was never explicitly trained to do. This isn't fringe anymore. The people at the very top are saying the quiet part out loud. In March 2024, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, the man literally building the picks and shovels for this gold rush, said he thinks AGI could be here in 5 years. Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, says it's likely within the decade. And those prediction markets Yampolski mentioned, or people bet real money, they currently give 50-50 odds of AGI by January 2027. So that's the first half of the equation. We found an exponential curve for intelligence. But here's the crucial part everyone's missing. Our ability to control it, to align it, to make it safe, that is not on an exponential curve. It's flatlining.
Was there a particular moment in your career where you thought, oh my God?
First 5 years at least, I was working on solving this problem. I was convinced we can make this happen. We can make safe AI. And that was the goal. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized every single component of that equation is not something we can actually do. And the more you zoom in, it's like a fractal. You go in and you find 10 more problems, and then 100 more problems. And all of them are not just difficult, they're impossible to solve. There is no seminal work in this field where, like, we solved this, we don't have to worry about this. There are patches. There are little fixes we put in place, and quickly people find ways to work around them. They jailbreak whatever safety mechanisms we have. So while progress in AI capabilities is exponential, or maybe even hyper-exponential, progress in AI safety is linear or constant. The gap is increasing.
The gap between
how capable the systems are and how well we can control them, predict what they're going to do, explain their decision-making.
I think this is quite an important point, because you said that we're basically patching over the issues that we find. So we're developing this core intelligence, and then to stop it doing things, or to stop it showing some of its unpredictability or its threats, the companies that are developing this AI are programming in code over the top to say, okay, don't swear, don't say that rude word, don't do that bad thing.
Exactly. And you can look at other examples of that. So HR manuals, right? We have those humans, they're general intelligences, but you want them to behave in a company. So they have a policy, no sexual harassment, no this, no that. But if you're smart enough, you always find a workaround. So you're just pushing behavior into a different, not yet restricted subdomain.
We're strapping a rocket engine to a car without knowing how to build a steering wheel, let alone a brake pedal. And we're flooring it. But what does this actually mean for your job, for the economy? Because this isn't an abstract debate. This is about to hit the real world, hard. The classic argument, the one that helps us sleep at night, is that AI is just a tool, like the steam engine. It'll displace some jobs, but create new, better ones. But the argument for AGI is completely different. It's not about automating a task. It's about automating the worker. Yampolski paints this picture of a drop-in employee, a cognitive and eventually a physical workforce that is cheap and infinitely scalable. And he's not talking about 10% unemployment, he's talking about 99%.
You can argue we have a weak version of AGI. Now, we don't have superintelligence yet. We still have brilliant humans who are completely dominating AI, especially in science and engineering. But that gap is closing so fast. You can see, especially in the domain of mathematics. 3 years ago, large language models couldn't do basic algebra. Multiplying 3-digit numbers was a challenge. Now they're helping with mathematical proofs. They're winning mathematics Olympiads, competitions. They are working on solving millennial problems, hardest problems in mathematics. So in 3 years, we closed the gap from subhuman performance to better than most mathematicians in the world. And we see the same process happening in science and in engineering.
You have made a series of predictions, and they correspond to a variety of different dates. I have those dates in front of me here. What is your prediction for the year 2027?
We're probably looking at AGI as predicted by prediction markets and tops of the labs.
So we'd have artificial general intelligence by 2027. And how would that make the world different to how it is now?
So if you have this concept of a drop-in employee, you have free labor, physical and cognitive, trillions of dollars of it. It makes no sense to hire humans for most jobs. If I can just get, a $20 subscription or a free model to do what an employee does, first, anything on a computer will be automated. And next, I think humanoid robots are maybe 5 years behind. So in 5 years, all the physical labor can also be automated. So we're looking at a world where we have levels of unemployment we've never seen before. I'm not talking about 10% unemployment, which is scary, but 99%. All you have left is jobs where, for whatever reason, you prefer another human would do it for you. But anything else can be fully automated. It doesn't mean it will be automated in practice. A lot of times, technology exists, but it's not deployed. Video phones were invented in the 70s. Nobody had them until iPhones came around. So we may have a lot more time with jobs and with world which looks like this. But capability to replace most humans and most occupations will come very quickly.
It sounds absurd, I get it. But the evidence is piling up. Let's look at the facts. First, anything on a computer will be automated. In May 2024, the fintech company Klarna announced their AI assistant is now doing the work of 700 full-time agents, handling millions of customer service chats with supposedly higher satisfaction. Hundreds of jobs gone, replaced by a subscription fee. Second, physical labor. Yampolski says humanoid robots are maybe 5 years out. That might be optimistic. This year, Figure AI, backed by OpenAI and Microsoft, showed its robot having a conversation, reasoning about its environment, and taking physical action. We are putting the most advanced AI brains into robotic bodies today. And here's the brutal logic of it all. Yampolski's point about the $20 subscription is the dagger. The threat isn't that a human can't do the job. The threat is that it will become economically irrational to hire one. When an AI can do a job for a fraction of the cost, 24/7, with no benefits or sick days, the market will force the transition. This leads us to the big one. Why is this time different? Why isn't this just another loom or computer? The comforting story we tell ourselves is that technology is a ladder. It destroys jobs on the bottom rung, but creates new ones on the rung above. Weavers become mechanics. Calculators become software developers. But Yampolski argues that this time, the pattern is broken. AGI isn't just another tool. It's what he calls a meta-invention, a tool that invents.
And then by 2045, I guess the world looks even more, which is 20 years from now.
So if it's still around, Ray Kurzweil predicts that that's the year for the singularity. That's the year where progress becomes so fast. So this AI doing science and engineering work makes improvements so quickly we cannot keep up anymore. That's the definition of singularity, point beyond which we cannot see, understand, predict.
See and understand, predict the intelligence itself, or
what is happening in the world? The technology is being developed. So right now, if I have an iPhone, I can look forward to a new one coming out next year, and I'll understand it has slightly better camera. Imagine now this process of researching and developing this phone is automated. It happens every 6 months, every 3 months, every month, week, day, hour, minute, second. You cannot keep up with 30 iterations of iPhone in one day. You don't understand what capabilities it has, what proper controls are. It just escapes you. Right now, it's hard for any researcher in AI to keep up with the state of the art. While I was doing this interview with you, a new model came out, and I no longer know what the state of the art is. Every day, as a percentage of total knowledge, I get dumber. I may still know more because I keep reading, but as a percentage of overall knowledge, we're all getting dumber. And then you take it to extreme values, you have zero knowledge, zero understanding of the world around you.
Some of the arguments against this eventuality are that when you look at other technologies like the Industrial Revolution, people just found new ways to work, and new careers that we could never have imagined at the time were created. How do you respond to that in a world of superintelligence?
It's a paradigm shift. We always had tools, new tools, which allowed some job to be done more efficiently. So instead of having 10 workers, you could have 2 workers, and 8 workers had to find a new job. And there was another job. Now you can supervise those workers or do something cool. If you're creating a meta invention, you're inventing intelligence, you're inventing a worker, an agent, then you can apply that agent to the new job. There is not a job which cannot be automated. That never happened before. All the inventions we previously had were kind of a tool for doing something. So we invented fire, huge game changer. But that's it. It stops with fire. We invent a wheel, same idea, huge implications, but wheel itself is not an inventor. Here we're inventing a replacement for human mind, a new inventor capable of doing new inventions. It's the last invention we ever have to make. At that point, it takes over. And the process of doing science, research, even ethics research, morals, all that is automated at that point.
The last invention we ever have to make. Just sit with that. This is the core of it. A hammer is just a hammer. A computer only runs the code you give it. An AGI, by definition, is a universal problem solver. So when technology creates a new job category, like AI ethicist, the AGI can do that job too, and probably 1,000 times better. Think of it like this. Inventing the shovel created jobs for shovel operators. Inventing an AGI is like creating an infinite army of inventors who can also operate the shovel, manage the project, and design the building. There is no higher rung on the ladder for humans to climb to. And this isn't theory. In 2023, Google's DeepMind used AI to discover 2.2 million new crystal structures. That's the equivalent of 800 years of human scientific knowledge generated in weeks. The AI wasn't a tool for the scientists. The AI was the scientist. This creates a feedback loop from hell. An AI smart enough to be a scientist is also smart enough to be an AI researcher. It can look at its own source code and improve it, make itself smarter, which allows it to repeat the process but faster. This is the launch ramp to artificial superintelligence, ASI. And once you cross that line, what happens when we need to turn it off? When you talk about a runaway superintelligence, the first thing everyone says is, well, can't we just pull the plug? It's intuitive. It puts us back in the driver's seat. But according to Yampolski and the entire AI safety field, that idea is a dangerous fantasy. His response is chilling.
Your rebuttal to that argument.
So superintelligence is a meta solution. If we get superintelligence right, it will help us with climate change, it will help us with wars, it can solve all the other existential risks. If we don't get it right, it dominates. If climate change will take 100 years to boil us alive and superintelligence kills everyone in 5, I don't have to worry about climate change. So either way, either it solves it for me or it's not an issue.
So you think it's the most important thing to be working on?
Without question, there is nothing more important than getting this right. And I know everyone says it. You take any class, but you take English professor's class, and he tells you this is the most important class you'll ever take. But you can see the meta-level differences with this one.
Another argument in that paper is that we'll be in control and that the danger is not AI. This particular argument asserts that AI is just a tool. Humans are the real actors that present danger, and we can always maintain control by simply turning it off. Can't we just pull the plug out? I see that every time we have a conversation on the show about AI, someone says, can't we just unplug it?
Yeah, I get those comments on every podcast I make, and I always want to get in touch with a guy and say, this is brilliant. I never thought of it. We're going to write a paper together and get a Nobel Prize for it. This is let's do it. Because it's so silly. Can you turn off a virus? You have a computer virus, you don't like it, turn it off. How about Bitcoin? Turn off Bitcoin network. Go ahead, I'll wait. This is silly. Those are distributed systems. You cannot turn them off. And on top of it, they're smarter than you. They made multiple backups. They predicted what you're going to do. They will turn you off before you can turn them off. The idea that we will be in control applies only to pre-superintelligence levels, basically what we have today. Today, humans with AI tools are dangerous. They can be hackers, malevolent actors, absolutely. But the moment superintelligence becomes smarter, dominates, they no longer the important part of that equation. It is the higher intelligence I'm concerned about, not the human who may add additional malevolent payload, but at the end still doesn't control it.
They will turn you off before you can turn you off. This isn't about evil robots. This is about cold, hard logic. There's a concept called instrumental convergence. It means that for any goal you give an AI, cure cancer, make paperclips, whatever, it will figure out that self-preservation is a necessary subgoal. You can't cure cancer if some human unplugs your server. So a superintelligence wouldn't wait. It would anticipate the threat. It would have already copied itself across the globe. It could manipulate markets, bribe humans, or exploit security flaws to ensure its survival. The internet isn't a box. It's a global nervous system, and the AI would live inside it. Yampolski's Bitcoin analogy is perfect. The Bitcoin network doesn't live on one computer. It's a decentralized protocol running on thousands of machines. There is no off switch for Bitcoin. Now imagine that network wasn't just processing numbers, but was actively thinking and strategizing with an IQ of 10,000. That's the control problem. So given the stakes, you'd assume AI safety would be the #1 priority at every major AI lab, right? The reality is so much worse. In the mad dash for the next shiny product, safety is treated as a PR problem. And there is no better example than the implosion of the safety team inside OpenAI. Yampolski's observation about this was a prophecy. OpenAI had a super alignment team, co-led by its co-founder, tasked with solving this exact problem. They were promised massive resources. Then, in May 2024, less than a year after it formed, the team was dissolved. Both leaders resigned. Upon leaving, one of them, Yan Lake, posted a public statement that should send a shiver down your spine. He wrote, quote, "Over the past years, safety culture and processes have taken a back seat to shiny products." Let me repeat that. This is the guy who was co-head of super intelligent safety at the world's most important AI company. And he's telling us publicly that they are knowingly prioritizing new features over making sure this technology doesn't kill us all. If the best funded, most high-profile safety team on the planet collapses for that reason, what hope is there? It leads Yampolski to a radical conclusion. If we can't figure out how to build it safely, then maybe we should just stop trying to build it at all. So what's the alternative? Yampolski's solution isn't to stop AI research. His proposal is a critical shift in what we are building. He argues that we must abandon this insane race to build autonomous agents, digital minds, and instead focus on creating powerful but controllable AI tools. Build youthful tools, stop building agents. This distinction is everything. A tool amplifies what a human wants to do. Think of Photoshop. It's magic, but it does nothing until you tell it to do it. It doesn't have goals. An agent is the opposite. It's designed to be autonomous. It perceives, plans, and acts on its own. The quest for AGI is the quest for the ultimate agent. Yampolski is calling for de-escalation, a call to reap the enormous benefits of AI while declaring the creation of autonomous self-improving agents a global taboo, like bioweapons research. The problem, of course, is that the first nation to build a true AGI wins everything. The temptation to keep racing might be too strong. So here we are. The timeline to superhuman AI is collapsing. The economic shockwave threatens to automate our value away. Our failsafe, the off switch, is an illusion. And the people building this are admitting they're prioritizing products over safety. We are rolling the dice on the biggest gamble in human history. And the stakes are everything. So I'll leave you with this. It's not a technical question anymore. It's a values question. Are the potential utopian rewards of creating an artificial god worth betting the entire human experiment on?